everybody. I'm Tabitha, and today we're going to talk about my process. So if you've watched any of these videos before, if you're a subscriber, you might notice that I'm in a totally different location. I thought since today we're talking about what I'm working on, it made sense to get where the magic happens. So this is my office at my house. This is not, it's actually, I'm a huge type A personality, so it's normally very organized and clean, so it's kind of bugging me that there's random things here, but it's all related to stuff that I needed for today. I actually saw this tag, the currently writing tag, on Ember Blake Writes, and I will tag her below. And I wasn't officially tagged, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's just dive right into these questions. Number one, what are you currently working on? Well, fans over on Facebook, who were my first and most original fans, who followed me before anything else, because Facebook was the first thing I had set up, are huge fans of Kingdom of Thron. So they're going to be incredibly happy to hear this. I'm currently in the middle of editing the third book in my Kingdom of Thron YA fantasy series. That's what I'm working on. So the title for this one has to be a secret right now. I have it. It's not this fat, I promise. But the title has to be a secret because this book, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, it's because if you know anything about my process for Breaking Isolde, which was my first book that was published, that book changed titles no less than 3 times. So I know that I'm a perfectionist and I might change titles, so that's part of the reason why I keep it a secret. Seriously, the title for Breaking Isolde changed after a publisher had already looked at it. Like, the publisher was like, yes, we want to do this book. We want to work with you on this book. And then I went, I'm changing the title. So this might change. So that's part of the reason I keep it the secret. But the other reason why is because these books have all followed the same pattern. It's an ensemble cast, but the books follow a different main character. And the name of the main character is in the title. So Breaking Isolde was the main character for that book, and then Redeeming Jordan is Jordan takes over the telling of the story. So this book's title will tell you who the main character is, which needs to be a secret until I'm ready to release that. Question number 2, what's your current word count? When this one was printed, it was at, I have to look, 51,409. But I knew going into this round of edits that there's scenes that are missing and are going to need to be added. I knew that there's a whole other story arc that I realized I needed to / wanted to include, so that has to be dragged into this one a little bit. So I'm trying not to focus on word count too much, and instead I'm focusing on getting this plot right and doing these characters that you already love, if you're a Kingdom of Thron fan, justice. Yeah. Number 3. What's my current deadline? I don't have one. I say this all the time, and it's on my Twitter bio, I'm an irrational perfectionist. So what that means is that I know perfection is not possible, and yet I still beat myself up trying to get to it. So I try not to set deadlines because I would never let myself be happy. However, Breaking Isolde was released in May of 2018. Redeeming Jordan was released in May of 2019. You see this pattern, right? Yeah, right. Number 4. What's your current writing, music, or song? Ooh, that's a good question. Let me look. I edit. First of all, I don't edit to stuff with lyrics. I try not to. It really distracts me, I guess you could say. So I edit to classical a lot. And so I have this Amazon station of only classical music. Can you hear this? Oh, it's down there. It's right here. Hold on. Oops. Yeah. So I have this classical station that I turn to whenever I need something when I'm editing, because I can't edit stuff with words. I have to edit to classical. Number 5. Current writing snack. This is coffee. That's almost gone. And normally water and maybe like unsalted mixed nuts. I'm going through like a veggie kick too, so maybe carrot sticks. I don't know. But this is water. Number 6. What is your current problem, struggle, or hurdle? That's a good question. Redeeming Jordan ended. I'm trying not to ruin it for those of you who haven't read it. It ends on a good spot. It has a satisfying ending. But there's a book 3. So my struggle is to try to answer some of the underlying questions that you still remember having at the end of Redeeming Jordan. Some of the things that were unanswered, some of the situations that maybe popped up, without shattering that satisfaction that you got at the end of the book. Basically. Yeah, so it's important, and you still have questions at the end of Redeeming Jordan, but it had a satisfying ending, and I'm trying to not ruin that for you. Yeah. All right. Number 7. Who is currently your favorite character? Jordan will forever be my favorite in this series. I don't think I've ever talked about why Jordan is a favorite before. So I will really quick. So for these characters, I wanted them all to be a little bit different. And I don't put people that I know into books, but I do draw from people that I know. So I pull personality traits from all of us, all different people in my family and things like that, and throw them into books. So my sister even picked up on that Iselda has a lot of her traits. She has some of mine too. Jordan has some of my favorite things about me and some of my favorite things about my husband in one character. And that, intentionally or unintentionally, I'm not even really sure, made him a favorite. He is my absolute favorite. And there are others that I love. And this has come up a lot with fans other places. When I talk to them in person or even on Facebook live chats and things like that, it's come up a lot that other people have some serious love relationships and really love some of these characters and can't believe they're not my favorite. But I love them too. Tudor, Sachet, even Iselda. Yeah, they all come up that people love them. There's even people out there who tell me they love Tin and they want to see him succeed, and that's awesome. That's so cool that people love your characters that much. Redeeming Jordan introduces some new characters who are also big fan favorites right away, who I also love, like Seven. And anyway, so when it comes to this book, although Jordan will forever be my favorite, I try to do justice to all of your favorites and make sure that your favorites are treated with loving hands in this third book. But who's currently my favorite in the process of this book, that right now where I'm editing, I'm like, oh, I forgot how much I love that character. Toby. Yeah, Toby. Someday I'll tell you that story. Today's not that day. Number 8. Which draft are you currently working on? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. I hate to admit this. Wouldn't it be nice if you could be like, oh, this is my first draft and it's great? That's not how it goes. Okay, so let's see. It had an outline. It went through, I wrote a first draft, obviously, and then I did first round edits there. I remember I wrote some new scenes. I remember that I figured out a major plot hole, and I rewrote it. Let it sit for a while. I think this is probably the second. This is probably the second full draft of the title hidden third book here. Yeah, I think technically this is probably the second. And there's going to be a third. Look at all this. There's going to have to be a third. Number 9. What is your current number of works in progress? I had to do some research because I saw this question was on there. So, obviously there's this one. Then there's actually the 4th book in the series. Fans just went nuts. Give them a second. The 4th book in the series is actually here. It's actually back here. That's why this looks so long. It's only first draft done, folks. It hasn't even had a first round edit. Don't get too excited. It's breathing right now because my first draft of this 4th book is a hot mess. I couldn't. It needs to be fixed. Is the problem. But technically, these 2 are works in progress. Then there's a magical YA. That's what I keep calling it on Twitter. My magical YA fantasy book. Let's see. That's had 2 rounds of edits, I think, and it still needs work. I recently had this crazy idea. So my magical YA fantasy, I've talked about it a little here and on Twitter, I think, has two distinctly different point of views. Basically, I had this crazy idea to take one of my characters from my idea journal and another character from my idea journal and put them in the same story. Excuse me. And the story is literally told in alternating storylines. So it goes character one, character two, character one, character two. Yeah. And I recently had this crazy idea that maybe I might have to add a third storyline. So I'm playing with that. So it's breathing right now while I let that sink in my head and see what I think of it. Kick it around a little. Then I had to look this one up. This is one I had to look up because I wasn't sure of this number and I wanted to be honest and accurate with you. So honestly and accurately, I looked this up yesterday to make sure I could give you this number. I have a staggering, I'm almost embarrassed to admit, 14 ideas in various stages of writing. Some of them have just a few chapters outlined. Some of them have just a few scenes written. Some of them are totally done but shelved because I can't quite figure out what's wrong with them, but something's wrong with them. So they're just they run the gamut from barely even started all the way to done, but I can't figure out what's wrong with it, and everything in between. And there are 14 of them, which is staggering and insane. Those are the ideas that I might come back to someday. So really, that's a hard question for me to answer. How many works in progress do you have? I have 2 Fran books I'm seriously working on. I have 1 magical YA fantasy that I'm letting breathe for a while, but seriously working on, and then 14 in ridiculous stages of composition that I can come back to at any time. All right, that's it for me and my currently writing tag. Although for me, I guess this should have been called the currently editing tag. Anyway, I'll put the questions down below in case you want to participate. If you're participating in this, I'd love to know. Drop a comment. Let me know you're participating so I can watch yours. If you're a fan of the Kingdom of Fran series and you're here and you love hearing that I'm working on the 3rd one and technically the 4th one, I would love to hear who your favorite character is. So drop a comment. Let me know who your favorite character is. Hit subscribe so you'll know when I'm back. And you know what? Keep plotting the path to your dreams. And I will see you next time.